Part two of David's Mighty Men, we'll talk about the Dirty 30 from Ziklag. So you remember from part one, David was given Ziklag from the king of Gath, and that's where he finished accruing a bunch of his mighty men. Now, mighty men comes from the word Gibberim. Gibberim comes from Genesis 6, which is the description of the Nephilim, the offspring from the sons of God and human women. So that's kind of the overlaying arc on this whole thing is it is giants and hybrid humans. Giant is a relative term. But so who are the Dirty 30 from Ziklag? Now, 1 Chronicles 12. Now, these are they that came to David in Ziklag while he was still a fugitive because of Saul. He's running from Saul. You remember all that. They were armed with bow and could use both the right hand and the left in hurling stones and shooting arrows from a bow. They were kinsmen of Saul, the Benjaminite. Benjamin, we know the tribe that got the coast towards Edom. We also know Saul was a goodly man, meaning he was shoulders to head taller than everybody else in the land. That's why he was chosen as king. So you've got already the stature being a big thing, which is the number one thing of Gibberim or mighty men or Nephilim. Also, too, the description of both right and left hand. You got to keep in mind, back then, you being able to use your left hand was looked at in some fashion magic or your bloodline. It was not a common thing, so it was looked at as completely different and also as being a phenomenal task, phenomenal task. So the head of the head chief we got was Ahiezer, then Joash, the sons of Shemaiah, the Gibeathite. Gibeah is one of the lands from the Promised Land conquest. To give you an idea of who is hanging out in Gibeah, they mention the children of Belial. Belial translated means wickedness or worthlessness. But it is also mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls as a demon and in the book of John, secret book of John, as well, being another demon. So 2 Samuel 23:6, but the sons of Belial shall be all of them as thorns thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands. But the man that shall touch them must be fenced with iron and the staff of a spear, and they shall be utterly burned with fire in the same place. So kind of gives you an idea of who's hanging out in Gibeah. Now, next we've got Jaziel and Pelet, the sons of Azmaveth. Now, these guys I couldn't find anything specifically on. Original description is they are Gibberim, and we know that they come from lands from the Promised Land. So, we know what's going on with these guys. Next, we have Baracha and Jehuth and Antothite. Anathite is one of the lands mentioned with Benjamin and Gibeon and Geba from the Promised Land. A bunch of these guys, that's where they come from. So we already know, what kind of bloodlines they come from. Next, we have Ismaiah the Gibeonite, a mighty man among the 30 and over the 30. Something really cool you notice in the David's Mighty Men story is there's a competition with these guys to be the toughest or the baddest. In theory, so to try to own up to David's reputation, which is just wild, that David is striking fear in the hearts of these giants, and they want to be compared to his level of toughness. Pretty crazy. But 2 Samuel 21:2, and the king called the Gibeonites and said unto them, now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites. Amorites, Amos 2:9, we know are the size of cedar trees. So Ismaiah the Gibeonite is the toughest of these 30 dudes. Pretty wild. Next, we've got Jeremiah and Jehazel and Johanan and Jozabad the Gideorathite. Gideorathite, or Gideor, loosely translated, all describe the item built and refer predominantly to literal walls. So these guys are wall people, tall as walls, wall builders in some fashion. That's how that breaks down. Now, Baalbek, pyramids, Karana Tempe, Göbekli Tepe, they kind of have big stones. And these guys are known for wall builders or being big as walls. You can kind of smell what I'm stepping in, right? Who else we got? Elahuzai, Jeremoth, Belial, Shemariah, and Shephathiah the Herathite. This too is another description of the people. Herathite or Heraph, loosely translated, is to pick or to gather, as in harvest time, from trees or whatnot. And it also means to taunt. So they weren't the nicest of people, It's suggests that whoever's doing the taunting is harvesting the person taunted. So, what are they telling us? What's the description there? Next, Elkanah, Josiah, Azariel, Jozer, and Jashabim, the Korathites. Korah is the son of Izhar, the cousin of Moses, and Aaron. Korah messed up pretty big, thinking he could make his own laws, and got himself a one-way trip to Sheol. Now, his sons, they were not executed along with their father, but became gatekeepers and soldiers and musicians. Significance of this is the gatekeepers, the Shoarim. We know that Obed-Edom, the Gittite giant, was chosen as well for as a position as a Shoarim. So the Shoarim, the gatekeepers of the temple, looks to be that they were picking the giants that they could trust to be the bodyguards of the temple. All right, Jolah, Zebediah, the sons of Joarim of Gedor. Gedor, again, is a land from the Promised Land conquest. However, it's mentioned with Kiriath Arba, or Hebron, Carmel, Jezreel, Gibeah, some of the worst of the worst. Kiriath Arba is the land of Arba, Arba being the father of the Anak giants. All right. And then we get to the 11 Gadites. Now, this is a really good one because this kind of touches bases on a lot of different areas. And of the Gadites, they're separated themselves from the wilderness, men of might, men of war, fit for battle. They could handle shield and buckler, whose faces were the faces of lions, swift as roes upon the mountains. Now, Gadites came from the tribe of Gad, of the 12 tribes of Israel. Gad was giving the area around Ammon and also close to Bashan. So these guys clearly intermarried with Moabites and Ammonites and, King Og Bashan, that whole area right there. So that's where the lion-faced men come from, and it also being the mighty men. Now that's the Dirty 30 from Ziklag. David had ultimately 37 men plus this garrison, so he had a pretty nasty army.